Okay, so I'm going to make this character from scratch and try to screen capture everything I'm doing. It always takes me quite some time to get the hang of it again, because there's always usually like a year gap between, rigging new characters, and so I really kind of lose track of how to use Moho altogether. So first of all, I'm going to import the drawing. It's one of the Waller gang. His name is Leopold. It's one of the guys who's left. Really arrogant kind of dude. This is the drawing I made. I am really lazy, so I don't really create character sheets or like, views from 3 angles and stuff. I know what he's going to look like is my character, so I can do that. If I would have to send this off to somebody else to rig, of course I would make better character sheets where they stand straight and all this stuff. But for the time being and with the little time I have, I just leave it as is. As a reference, I just import also the main character. Where is it? Episode data, Moho rigs. There we go, Frank. So I know how tall this guy is supposed to be. I want to make sure that they're all about the same size. So I'm going to resize this dude. Oops. Yeah, this is too tall. He's supposed to be a bit smaller, actually. He's supposed to be on the not so tall side because, yeah, he's a kid after all. So I have one copy of this guy here. Going to remove Frank. Going to set him to don't render because it's just a reference. And I'm going to make another copy because I need one for color reference and one to trace. And the tracing one I've set to 40% transparent. Boom, there we go. And I'm going to save this thing, call him Leopold version, and this is, I don't know, 0.8. I always put version numbers in there every day I start working on stuff. I just increase the version and save another copy just so that I can go back if I screw up something, and I screw up a lot. Okay, these are my duties here. So let's start here. I shall start with a head. It's at an angle, right? I want the head to be straight. So one thing I got to do here now for tracing this dude is going to make another copy just in case. I'm just going to hide this one just for the head and set his head straight. And one thing I really hate about Moho is that it doesn't have, you can't set up guides, which is stupid because if I look at the grid, of course, the grid will change angle with the actual image. So if I put the image at an angle, the grid is going to do squat for me. So I often have to use just the border of the viewport to see, oh, this is straight. This is about straight. Yeah. So this is the straight head. Put it up here and make sure it's about the same height. Yeah, whatever. So I want to trace this face because it's actually better if I do it this way. And put this stuff, of course, on top of Leopold. I'm very ad hoc, you can see that I'm not like, oh, I know how this is done kind of dude. I am just really improvising every single time because all these characters are different, And so what I'm going to do now, and this is an important part of my normal routine, just get rid of the actions, you don't need those, I need the styles here. So I'm going to create styles right from the bat. The first style I create is usually always called, as the LP for Leopold, I call this outlines. I'm going to give, you'll see what I'm doing here. So this LP outline styles has no fill, doesn't need a fill, and it's 3 pixels line width, and that's that. Okay, of course, LP skin, no outlines, just deleted the unused LP skin and make a new one called LP skin shade. And that's the shade, no outlines, and I've got the, okay. So, going back to this one, I'm going to select this shape here, and now the style number 1 will be the actual tone of color, fill, and the style number 2 will be the outlines. I always give it, so I can later then, if I have several shapes, just for example, I have several shapes here, and in some shot sometimes I might need to make the lines thicker or thinner. I can just go in here and just keep changing the outlines, and it changes for everyone. So that's the trick that I'm doing, and it really helps. Sometimes if you scale characters, you know, it's the normal line scaling is not always working the way you want it to. This looks good enough for me, so this is the head. Now the mouth. I usually place the mouth outside of the head because I usually don't make smart bone dials for mouth shapes. I just don't want this to interfere with the rest of the animation because mouth shapes, I do those first when I do lip syncing. So there's different ways of doing mouth actually. You might have noticed if you look at, for example, Frank versus Humbug, his mouth is a sideway view. It's pretty much like American Dad is doing it. But basically it's all from a side view, all of it. And the teeth here, they're not fully separated, and so it's the hidden line. Frank has a bit more complicated mouth. And it's, as you can see, it's just a closed shape here with a lot of points. This is the angry one, so it's like all reverted U shape, whereas the happy mouth is this way up. I want at least one more point here so you can make an O, right? I want two. It has to be kind of symmetrical. I'll show you later with the Preston Blair shapes why I want to do this. As a reference, using the Preston Blair mouth shapes, and you can see normally with the E-mouth shape you see the lower teeth. However, American Dad and Family Guy don't do that. They never show lower teeth except for the etc., the sh, z, the consonants, and the L. There you see teeth. Otherwise, they never show teeth. So I'm just kind of wondering whether with his small mouth shape, I just leave it at that, I guess. As long as it looks okay, it is okay, I think. There you go. Yeah, I think it's pretty much the dude I was envisioning. So what you do now is super easy because you want to be able, when you actually, this one here, if you do the switch layer, you want to say interpolate sublayers. And this only works properly and well if all the sublayers and the shapes therein have the same number of sublayers, same number of shapes, same number of points in the shapes. And so that's why you want to make one shape, and you want to make sure it has enough points to eventually show all these shapes here, Preston Blair, right? And yeah, there we go. And then you just copy this. So we're going to do an AI now. That's the first shape, which is a bit wider open. So, and you have to be aware that human skull, the upper part of the mouth doesn't really move much. In animation it does a little bit, maybe if you have extreme mouth openings, but if you want to do normal talking, it is the jaw that moves. Since I'm not going to move the jaw, that's one of these tricks you do, you just leave the face as is and just move the mouth. You still have to make sure that if you open the mouth more, you don't want to do this. People don't talk by moving the upper part of the mouth, they move the lower part. So if I want to do the A shape, open it up more, I have to go like this to make sure it's natural. finally. So this is the dude. Yeah, I'm not sure whether this is perfect yet, but okay, now comes the moment of truth because we're going to put in the freaking bones. Yay. Of course, if you now use the bones, it's gonna suck because there's no bone strength, nothing. It's just all over the place. It's just, oops. It's just gonna be, you know, weird. Of course, this is all broken and totally fucked up. So, next thing you want to do is let's first of all fix the bone strengths. Just gonna add a bone here, just a dot. And there's one more. You always make sure you first click the bone that should be the parent, and so it becomes a child of that bone. Yeah. And same here for the wrists. I'm gonna add a bone here. Add a bone here. And you can see already it's not in the center, so I'm not happy with this. A bit more. Actually, the whole thing might have to be off a bit. Yeah, not one. This one's pretty spot on. I'm surprised how well that worked. Okay, so let's just name all these bones first of all, so you can keep track of what's going on here. So we go. I got this rig, I've got the bone strength attached. It's still a mess, of course, when I move him. Everything is just like, what is this crap? And now you start flexi-binding. That'll fix a lot, but still not everything. So you go to every single layer, and again, I don't want you to... the mouth is the one layer where you can actually just layer bind it to the head. That's it. That's the one thing, because you're not going to do anything fancy there. For everything else, I advise you to not layer bind anything. So with the head, we have the ear. I just want you to take every single layer and bind it to whatever bones you need here. So in this case, the head stuff all attaches to the head bone. And the nice thing is, once you select this bone, it'll stay selected. So you just can go from one layer to the next and hit Command-Shift-F to flexi-bind it. Flexi-bind, eyebrow, flexi-bind, eyebrow B, flexi-bind, eye, every single layer here too. Icon, F, just flexi-bind everything. It's just boom, boom, boom. Same here, IF, boom, 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 boom. The cool thing is, if you do a flexi-bind, if you flexi-bind a whole layer only to one bone, it's exactly the same as if you layer bind it, but for animation purposes. There are differences. Or if you would bind all the points to that point. So it's stiff. It's not going to wiggle around, move around. That's what I mean. So if you flexi-bind a layer to several bones, it'll start, because it's flexi, the points will not be 100% fixed, attached, and move around. But as long as you just flexi-bind it to one bone, it's a quick way to bind it, and it's just as good as layer binding or point binding. Did I bind this? I didn't. I missed one. This is all bound. Okay, good. Nose, ear, hair front, head base, hair back. Okay, neck is bound to just this one. Sometimes I have to bind the neck to more than one bones. I will bind these points here to the chest later. So right now the whole neck is going to move. It's going to look weird. Never mind. Just ignore it. So with the hands, again, I want to flexi-bind because later on, these hands here, actually doesn't really matter. These hands here, they just move as a separate entity, so that layer binding would be fine. In some cases I have the hands have part of the wrist, and then you might want to point bind the wrist to the arm. In this case, we don't need to do this, so it doesn't really matter. So I just go boom, boom, oops, just screw this up. Wrong bone. So there's the hand bone you want to have here. Just go flexi, 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 flexi. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, done. Lower arm binds to the lower arm. Boom. Upper arm binds to the upper arm. Jacket collar binds to nothing really because it's kind of stiff. It should bind to the chest, I think. Yeah, that's the only thing really only to the chest. The other hand again binds to the hand bone. Stop. Flexi bind, and one, boom, 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 boom. Flexi bind. Okay, done. Save. Lower arm binds to this bone. Upper arm binds to this bone. Jacket B. Now it gets complicated. Okay, so this bed air will definitely be moved by the shoulder as well as these torso bones. That's, I think, it. So 3 bones here. Jacket F, same one, other side around. So these 3 bones, right? You wonder why I'm not using the pin bone yet. I'll show you. I'll do that later. That's the point binding part. The collar is basically just part of the. Yeah, it should only really move with the. Yeah, with the chest. That's fine. The belt is kind of stuck to the. Is it? Sure. This depends. Sometimes I bind the belt to the hip with the crotch. Sometimes I bind it actually to the upper body. I'll leave it with the hip for now. And the shirt again is bound to the most bones because it has the. This is a mess here. This is so confusing here. Yeah, I think that's about the bones we need to bind it to. Yep, should be good. And then the legs. Crotch patch will be, this one is layer bound to the crotch. So just pin it to this one. Then the leg, let's go all the way, all the details here. So this one's going to be on the upper leg only. No, the layer binding, not layer binding, don't. Flexi binding. Pant, leg, flexi binding. Foot, that's just part of the foot only. This one is easy too because again I think this is a separate part. It doesn't have to bend with the rest of the boot. So this time around I think most of the binding is fairly simple because it just binds to one bone only. Nothing too fancy here. The crotch binds to this one. So now I might want to, for now, try to bind it to the legs as well, so it'll stretch a little bit on these points. If this is not precise enough and not going to work, I might as well just bind it only to the hip bone and then bind these points to the leg. Maybe that's the better way of doing it. Because otherwise it's going to be just, yeah, just bind it to this one. Yeah, forget it. This leg, pant leg, 2. Foot, as I said, is separate, just part of this. Foot, lower leg to the lower leg, and the upper leg here to this one. Now, we can try another one and see how this works now. And we'll see that many things will not line up. Oh, and see bone strength. I forgot the pin bones. I'll have to make them entirely 0 bone strength. 0 those out. I will do those later. Okay, let's see. That looks pretty good. Oh, see, this is nice if you align this stuff properly. Yeah, you can see it's not perfect. Got to fix it a little bit here. This is a bit out of bounds. This one too is a bit, yeah, it's not properly centered. I can fix that later. This one also, as you can see here, this is not, just need a bit of tweaking here. This one's almost perfect. Yeah, I can still see it. Yeah, so it's not properly centered, easily fixed. The shoulder, that's another thing you want to fix actually. It's 2 things. One thing is you don't want the shoulder to move with the arm. Because normally the shoulders are fixed. They're not going to move like this. This is nonsense. So, the thing you do with the shoulders is you tell the shoulder to ignore IK. This one too. So only when you manually actually move them, they're going to move. Now let's go back. See, they're just fixed now. This also fixes the problem. It seems to be fixing the problem that these shoulder points are not aligning right, but that's not true because as soon as I start, if I go to frame 1 and I start stretching. As you can see, it goes out of line because this circle is out of whack. It's just not circular anymore, and it's only flexi-bound, so it's not really following the shoulder. So you want to fix that, and that's what we're going to do right now. So first of all, fix the shoulder binding. Jacket F. So now we use this baby and bind. I'm hitting Command I. This is the this one here. Bind points. I'm going to bind the points of the circle to this shoulder pin. Okay, so I'm going to bind both points and do the same on the other side. So select this circle, go to Jacket B. I'm going to bind the points of this, only the circle. Make sure you're only selecting the circle. Bind those points. Now it's going to be fixed. It's going to be moved with the shoulder, absolutely. Oh, actually wrong. I have to bind all the shoulder tip points. I forgot actually these other two. Bind those. I'm going back to this baby here. Shoulder Jacket F. So I forgot this point and this point to bind it to the shoulder pin as well. Now if I do crazy stuff with the shoulder, oh, I'm such an idiot. Didn't do this on is this going to be bound still? I'm not sure. Oh, it's still bound. Good. Yeah, it's another thing I do all the time. I forget to go to frame 0 to do my. So never ever, bad example. Never ever do your rigging on frame 1. It's a bad idea because you're going to screw up everything. This one might not have screwed it up, so it might be good. So if I am, let's go back to frame 1 to test the thing. If I'm moving the shoulder now, hello. Yeah, see, this is bullshit because such an idiot. Of course, only select the shoulder. I just scaled both. I'm not, so yeah. Kind of works, kind of screwed up. Yeah, it's not going to be very extreme. So we're talking about this, we're talking this level of scaling that's going to happen. And you can see already what is happening here. Not sure whether I'm happy with this, that the opening here is moving as well, because it's flexi-bound. But this is, you know, for body turns, this should do the trick and keep stuff in place the way it should be. Fair enough. Maybe a little bit of going up and down. Yeah, if he shrugs the shoulders, you know, it's like, don't know. Yeah, that works. You know, for most intents and purposes, this does work. Going to do the same for the wrist here, because again, if I'm scaling this here, you can and I move it's going to go. As you can see, the stuff goes out of whack. It's just really weird. So in this case, we want to make sure that select this, and in the lower arm F, where are we? There's several things we want to bind to this point, bind to this. So I want this circle to be bound. I don't want this to scale. Neither this, neither this. And about the sleeve here, I'm going to do another thing with bones too. So we just leave this out for now. This is, and the wrist, all the wrist bones here. I don't want to scale those as well. Right. As I said, leave the sleeve edge out for now. We're going to do something else with that. So these are the points I want to bind, just to show you which points we're talking about. These are the points, right? Okay. Let's bind those points. Boom. Same on the left side. Lower arm B. Select the wrist bone. Bind all the points here. Oh, not this one. Only these ones. Yep. This one, this one, this one. Bind. And one more thing I want to do now, because I've bound the points, and I think I should be fine now. Let's just do a quick test here. Oh, I'm doing this again on frame 1. I'm such an idiot. Do not do this at home. But it worked anyway. So this is fine now. And if I resize it, which I only can do in frame 1, that's why I'm going to frame 1 all the time. If I... No. Yeah, see? It's not perfect yet, because right now, as you can see, the sleeve is still flexi-bound to the bone, and it's doing weird things, but we will fix this in a second. For most intents and purposes, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this wrist bone. It's going to be a shy bone because I'm not going to touch it ever again. It'll never be seen again. Same here. I don't need this. It does what it needs to do. I don't want to touch it, don't want to see it. It just gets in the way. Perfect. The sleeve. That's another thing I'm going to do now. I'm going to attach the bone. This is the actual thing on the top here. Copy paste. One more. Copy paste. One more. Coral sleeve upper B, sleeve edges B, and sleeve lower. I just want to use these descriptive names, otherwise you just get so lost. Make sure they all are restricted to have no angular motion whatsoever. 0, 0. Put them a bit closer together if you want to. Doesn't really matter, honestly, it's just a relative motion anyway. This baby will follow sleeve upper B only in the y-axis. I always have to double check whether this is actually correct. I see, screwed it up already. Only on the x-axis now. I don't get it. It's just messy. But again, you know, you can always fix this. This is a quick one. So, what? What the heck is going on? What am I doing? Why does this not work? Sleeve over behind it. What? That was just wrong. What's going on here? This makes no sense. Oh, yes, of course. You know what the problem is. It's not bound to the right bone. I'm so stupid. The parent... Oh no, and I'm always on frickin' frame 1, man. This is driving me crazy, man. Okay, so the problem is that this one is bound, this one is parented to this baby, I think. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But this one is parented to the wrong bone. All has to be parented to the lower arm. And then it should work. Let's try it again. Messy. Yay! Fixed it. Messy, messy, messy. Okay, and this baby is, what is it again? Upper B, minus 100, 100. Is this the right one? Are we good? Yes, perfect. So, and you go away, you're just really in the way here. You can see me hitting S all the time. This is just this old habit. I don't use autosave with this because I found autosave can screw up things and sometimes you don't want to save, be it auto or not. So I really prefer manual saving with documents because often you try stuff out and you want to go back and you just can revert to the last saved version. And so I'm kind of old school like that, you know. Now lower arm B, and it's just going to bind all the points you need to bind here to this one. Needs to bind the point to the upper thingy here. This one binds to the lower one. This is very finicky. The middle one only takes the corners. And I think this should do the trick. Let's just see. Does it work? And again, I'm doing this on frame 1. I shouldn't be doing it on frame 1. I'm such an idiot. And it works, mostly. Except for if you forgot to bind these babies as well. I think they have to move with it too, right? Ta-da. So, lower arm B. Dun, 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 dun. That's what it has to be, doesn't it? Oh god, the strength is messed. That's the problem. 0. You forget these things all the time. It's just so many things. You all got to do this, got to do that. Oh, come on. Frame 1. this works mostly, I guess. What if I flip it? It's going to be messy. Or maybe not messy. It might actually be just right, yeah. I think this is probably what you want to do, even if it's not perfect. You would want it to be foreshortened or something, but I think for most intents and purposes this is fine. So I also have to bind lower arm F. This is new. I don't know whether it's going to work, and I might actually end up removing all of this, or maybe everything but the button, if it's not going to work out the way I intended it to work. I'm just going to rebind these points to the controller here. I just hope it'll all work out in the end. We'll see. It looks kind of wacky already because the button is not prospectively deforming. So I'm not sure this is really the right way to do it. Oops. Now, yeah, as you can see, there's one more thing you need to do here, because if I move this torso, I just move the whole character. I don't want this. I want the feet to stay in place, by the way. Works surprisingly well. I will have to... I probably don't need to do many corrections here for most purposes. Yeah, this here. This wants to be a bit more up. Doesn't really work here. And his lower leg is too short, isn't it? Oh no, this is fine. I think it's mostly okay. This should be. Oh yeah. So the lower leg has to be in front of this. Just messed up the layering here, but this is stuff you figure out when you start moving it. There we go. Now we can do his Om meditation. That's how it should work. Okay, so make sure you select nothing. Just click somewhere where there's nothing, and you're in the bone layer, and add a new bone. And there's going to be a pin bone, and you just snap it to the foot. It'll snap. Okay. You call this foot B target, so you know it's a target bone. And you add, and then you deselect and click somewhere else. There's parented to nothing. This thing has to be independent from the whole skeleton. Add another pin bone to the other foot, and you call this foot F target. We're not done yet. Wrist targets as well. So I'm going to add another one. Boom, and add another one. And just always make sure, double check with P. They're not parented to anything. We're good. This is for this wrist. Oops. Hello. Can you move it? Thank you. And this is for this wrist. And these babies I'm going to call... Oops. Wrong place. Wrist, I said. This one's going to be wrist. Or let's just call it hand. It's actually better. Hand. The target. I know the wrist is targeting it, but anyway. And this is hand F target. And these I'm going to be using excessively, and that's why I want them to have different colors. So I'm giving this baby a coral, and this one a blue one, because it's the background, blue. So it's easy to spot them. You can see them right away, okay? Now I'm going to tell this arm to always target the... Oh, no. Target bone is going to be the hand B target. Boom. And you can see it's now targeting, because you can see it's like a yeah, it doesn't really help zooming in, does it? You can see those circles, the inner circles is a bit like a target, and do the same here. So this one's going to target the hand F. Same with the foot. The foot has to target the foot B target, and this is easier to see in better contrast here. This one targets the foot F target. Okay, we're not done yet, because there's still a few things we have to do. Now what this gives you is you can just go, and the strength has to be set to 0, because it's just a target. It's not supposed to be deforming anything. Set those to 0. Okay. And now you can very easily... Hello. Yeah. Move your arms. If you're not as clumsy as I am, that is, if you actually could grab those. You can see they're already going the wrong direction. The way to flip this is if you just hold Option, you select this bone and hold Option, you can flip the direction of the bone here. because that happens a lot with the targeting here. That makes things annoying at times. But anyway, so you can now easily move this, and you say, why don't you just move the arm itself? Because if I do it this way, most people move their hands independent from their upper body. Actually, they're pretty good in if you carry a tray, you try to carry the tray as plain and steady as possible, and even if you walk, that tray will not move with every movement of your torso or your upper body. It'll try to stay in place. That is a natural way of moving it. So same thing here. If I move his lower body, you can see that the feet are staying in place too. The hands stay where they are, and that is actually more natural, because most of the time when you just move your upper body a little bit, you usually keep your hands in place, right? So one more thing you want to do with the feet is, as you can see, that it's still kind of weird what's going on here. One more thing you want to do definitely with the feet is you want to make sure that the feet bones don't move with the legs, so they have an independent angle, and this is exactly the option that you're going to check here. Say independent angle. Give this baby an independent angle. So for the hands, I'm torn, because most of the time you don't want the hand to be at an independent angle, because if you move your hand like this, it's natural for the hand to move with the arm, right? It would be unnatural. Let's say, give it an independent angle, and you can see what's going to happen if I say this. This is weird. You don't move your hand like this most of the time, right? That's why I prefer to not give the hand an independent angle, although I might screw up some things sometimes. But for the feet, you want it definitely, because see, the feet stay firmly on the ground. I'm just going to flip this. The feet stay firmly on the ground, and you can do it's much easier to do, to have your character move naturally. One more thing I want to do, and that's why I start this is the actual bone structure you give it. You're not done yet, because now you want to do rigging smart bones that automate certain things. Or you might want to adjust, as I said, the shoulder is not perfect. You want to tweak all this stuff here so that all the deformations are good. You want to check, like, is the head movement, that's fair enough, I guess. The neck, oh, this is still weird, that shouldn't happen, so go to the neck. You want to point bind your neck. You select the chest bone here and point bind the lower points here. Now if you do the neck movement, it's more natural. It's still not perfect, so you want to do some smart action here to maybe do this. Yeah, works mostly okay. Here I want to do some fixing. There's this curvature here, it has to be a bit tighter. No, I don't know why this is not refreshing properly. This is another bug, I think. Here definitely you want to bind the lower points of the torso to the hip bone. So you go the shirt. No, where's the shirt? That's the shirt. So you got the hip bone here. Point bind at least these points here. Fix them. And now I can. This still. You want to fix this too. Go and do this later. So let's start fixing a few things here. I'm going to do the other bones later. So as I said, like this bone needs a few fixes. So I'm going to be in the bone layer here, top bone layer. Select this bone here in the actions panel, and I'm going to add a smart action for the torso. You can see torso. I usually do this up to frame 48, others use 24 frames, some use 100, whatever, any arbitrary number, just make sure you stick with one. And I'm going to move this bone as far as I'll probably ever move. It's about, maybe like this. So now I'm going to fix the shirt. Might just be here, and this is more like here. Right? Maybe it pops out a little bit here. Oh, I don't want to move this actually. Just leave it where it is. And then the other thing you want to do in this case is you want to usually go with linear motion. I mean, if you animate your character, you want to go with smooth, but this one has to do with linear motion, because you don't want to. You want to make sure it's uniform. It's uniform. Also for the bone, very important. The bone has to have a uniform movement. It's just so you can make sure everything deforms correctly, right? I want to keep this here because this is basically just a shirt popping out of the pants, right? This one goes up too much for my taste. It has to bend a bit more. Oh no, actually this is... Might have to add a few points here. I'm not entirely sure whether this is just perfect this way. It pops out too much, as you can see. Or maybe it doesn't pop out enough here. This should actually be... Let's make it a point. Maybe it's better just to make this... Oops, not here. That was stupid. Yeah, I made this kind of curvy. Bad idea. I'm just going to add 2 points here. We're back into the main line. Making this a curve was just a really stupid idea, so I'm just going to add a point here, add a point here. I'm going to make this a peaked one. This is a bit of a curve. This one, this will probably deform much better than what I just had. Let's go back to the torso and let's see. Might as well just remove all the fixes. I just didn't see how this works. So, yeah, this is better. Yeah, also want to bind this point. Can't I do this? I want to bind this point to the hip bone too. So once again, we're still on the torso thing. Yeah, all of it, I guess. All these lower points stay in place because it's just this crease, right? Just bind it all over. Yeah, actually, that's what it's doing, and then you can fix it a little bit. We're now in normal. Just don't select this. So yeah, this one is here. This one's a bit more up here. It can go down a bit, you know. Yeah, I really think for the chest also to move properly, I have to go back in and add 2 more points. So I actually really want to have these want these points to move down a bit. I'm going to add another point. So this is another place where this could actually stick with the chest. There's a bit more. So this is like a stretching area that I'm building here. That should work, hopefully. Yeah, it should do a trick. So let's go back to the torso again. Aha! Yeah, this looks better actually, yeah. It's more like it. And we could have this go a bit more out here because it's, of course, the fold is getting bigger. This works much better. I think we just leave it as is, that's fine. Let's go back. And now I gotta do, okay, I need to have another foot that looks in a different direction, and that is animatable. And that is one of the challenges. And I just found actually Vitruvian Bones to be quite nice there. You might not be able to have, if you want to go all the way, you might have to make 5 or 4 Vitruvian Bones, but I'm just going to go like forward, straight forward, facing the other way. 3 bones, it's way enough. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add another bone here. And I'm going to call this bone, I'm going to rename this bone now actually, because I'm using several bones. Foot F out. It's facing outwards. And then I'm going to have another one. I'm just copy and paste this one to make it the same length. Oh, what am I doing? Copy and paste. And here. And call this foot F in because it points inward, right? So this thing is also going to be called foot F out. I'm going to copy this and call the next one foot F in. That's easier. I do this first because it's very just flipping everything the other way around. So foot F, boom, flip it here. Should mostly work. with a little bit of luck. Flip it. Yeah, actually that should work. I'm surprised. And now I need another one from the front. And I'm not sure if you haven't ever used Vitruvian Bones, it might be a bit confusing for you, but just bear with me. Let's see if this works. Anyway, so I'm going to select these 3 bones and go into the Vitruvian Bone tool. And if this doesn't show up, I think if you upgrade it might not show up, and you might want to go to the preferences. And I think there was a tool layout. I think you can just restore factory defaults. And if you do that, it should finally pop up. I had this problem. So you select Vitruvian Bones. You have these 3. Hello. Got to go in the bone layer, of course. Duh. Select these 3 bones in the bone layer in Vitruvian Bone tool, and you can just say group. Boom. And suddenly the other ones are gone. So you call this group foot F, what else, to keep it consistent. And now it uses the bone names to switch. There's foot in, there's foot F front, and there's foot out 2, and I don't know what the hell it's called foot out 2. What the fuck is this called foot out 2? Get out of this tool, get back in. What is going on? Why is it doing this? It's not good. And again, they made this hard to do. So you always select this baby, you have to go into the stupid Vitruvian Bone tool, you have to go to the switch. I don't want to do this, right? I do not want to do this. So what I do is I just use another bone to control switching this, because I want to do this in this layout. I want to go Vitruvian Bone tool, blah, blah, blah. So I just go a bit up here. I'm in the normal tools, yeah. Okay, I'm going to add another bone here. And you're going to turn it over to the other side. And when it's on the other side, you're going to use Vitruvian Bone thingy, Vitruvian Bone tool. This one is the foot in. And on 24 in the middle, and again, it's all got to be linear, otherwise it's a mess. On 24, you go here, Vitruvian Bone tool, foot front, and now you can just move your bone. It's choppy, admittedly. So you might. Oh, interesting. The bone strengths are different. I might want to fix that too. Actually, I want to add controllers for his facial expressions, for the eyelids, for blink, and for his eyebrows. For now. That's another thing we need. What I do there is normally, so it's the bone layer here, I normally, first of all, add another bone that will be kind of the anchor for the whole bone layer rig, so you can move it around. So this is like I call this armature anchor. Give it another color again, whatever you want, purple maybe, I don't know. Okay, this is linked to nothing. Also want to make sure that this baby again has no, bone tool, cannot have an angle. You don't want the angle to be messing around with it. And you basically, all the armatures you're making, all of the other levers you're making, will be attached, will be parented to that bone. So you can just move this thing around and it'll move the whole armature. You make another layer. Oh, I didn't want to copy of this, it was nonsense. Can't undo, okay, fair enough. A vector layer, which I call armatures. You're gonna tell it to don't render, so you can't see it ever. And this one will have, you can put in images in there if you want to, as instead of just using bone labels, that can help. Some people do that. I will just put in a circle for the eye movement, because I have a very specific eye rig that I usually do. And so I want to have a circle in here for the eye movement. And this one doesn't even have to have a specific, sorry. Okay, so this is eyes vertical, this is eyes horizontal. And this whole rig is going to be a bit more complicated, but first of all, we're just going to do the eyes movement here. Minus 30 plus 30. Oh. Yeah, that's about it. Same here. Let's do horizontal movement of the eye, number 1. Boom. Going to the eye. So there is pupil, the other pupil. I'm selecting both. It's the one case where you can select 2 layers and it actually will work. And we're going to go, yeah, first move this bone to the very left. So it's the leftmost. Oops, should be on frame 48. Make sure everything's linear, as always. So this thing goes to the left. And the eyes go there. Pupil goes to the very left. And I go all the way so you can't see it anymore to the left. So almost too much. Yeah. Originally, I would just say have this pin bone be the controller. So I call this the eye controller. But if you do that, you will have an uneven movement of the XY axis because this angular motion is not translating well to this straight line motion. So we put in 2 more pin bones. One for, this is like call this track horizontal and call this track vertical. So each of these pin bones is only going to track one axis. And so let's put it this way. Let's just show you, for example, what would happen if I just track this baby here, right? Okay. So if I move this thing, it's fine here. Okay. If I go up all the way here, the thing is, if I'm at the very bottom here, it's basically virtually impossible to get both of these to go to the actually. I mean, if you want both of these to go to the very bottom right position, you'd have to go to infinity, kind of. I'm going in a straight line here. It's not a straight line because of this weird angular motion being directly translated into A. So we're not going to do this. Instead, this baby is going to have a position control, the eye controller, and it's only going to be horizontal, only X, no Y, so 0 Y. Okay. And this one is just the other way around. It's going to use the eye controller as position control, but in this kind, it's only Y, no X. Okay. And I'm going to unbind this baby for now. I'm just going to use the different controls here. Okay, when I move this, you can see that they follow, and they follow the XY axis perfectly, right? And now you can already see, like, when I'm here, this controller, this baby would aim directly at me, would only be at an angle that is not the full extreme. In this case, the thing has to go all the way over there. So this baby has to aim at the horizontal. The target will be here, the horizontal, track horizontal. And this one targets the track vertical. What you're having here is I have this controller and I can control the eyes, and it feels like direct control. It feels absolutely precise and exactly the movement I'm making. I can make a straight line here. Perfect, awesome. I can get it all the way to the edges without any problems. Now, I don't need any of these other bones, so let's shy them away. Shush. Off you go. Shoo, I mean, off you go. I just have this eye controller and I'm happy. Okay, so upper eyelids, lower eyelids, we're going to control those. I'm going to call this... So now I'm wondering whether I should make the eyelid go down straight or at this weird angle. Because it probably will look really weird if when it closes and is with at an angle with the lower eyelid. So maybe it has to go. Let me just try it. Let me just see. I'm just going to take these two, move them horizontal all the way down. Oh, of course, grid snapping now is not cool. I'm going to go all the way here. The question is, of course, somewhere here, I think it needs to be horizontal already. Otherwise, it's going to be really weird with the lower eyelid coming here. So it's a bit like, yeah, I think it works. I think it's fair enough. I think the lower eyelids, not pupil, the lower eyelids have to come up sooner, right? So it's just hide those to see where we are. So maybe they have to go up. After all, they have to go up all the way. No, maybe they do. Just it has to look right, you know. Still, yeah, 24. They should be just maybe further up. I don't know. Up already. Well, if it works, it works. You know, it seems odd, but it seems to work. So this is the blink number 1. And the other blink is actually not a blink. It's the very opposite of blinking. So it is basically opening the eyes wide open thingy. Okay. So here, let's move this to the left. And now the thing is that I might even change the eye cover a bit. It moves a bit because kind of the bones here, wrong one, just all the way up. But as I said, the eye cover, which normally doesn't move, might actually move here as well. So he looks a bit even more. Move this thing a bit up. If he's shocked or something, like, oh my god, where? Main line, so we got that one. So, eyebrow is pretty straightforward, I guess, you know what I mean. This one is actually really, we're using the layers here again. Where is the head? So if you go up, goes up, goes up. How far do we go up? I mean, you can go crazy up, you know, depending on what you want to do with it. Let's go as far as this. Maybe too much. So I can raise the eyebrows, I can make them go this way. I think it really works well. You can have a lot of expression with this alone, but this is not everything because you also want to make him look angry and wimpy. So let's make first him make blah, 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 make him angry. Jesus Christ. Really angry. Now I think actually for the eyebrows I will have to resort back to bones. I was just thinking about the variations you could have, and no, I think actually this thing I did with Frank is actually much better. So let me just go back to give him some bones in the. So I've got a hello, worried, angry. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's do the head turn. Give it the angle constraints. By the way, it doesn't really have to be 90 degrees for the head turn. I mean, if you feel it's dialing all the way over there, whatever, just leave it at 70. Fair enough. This could actually even leave you a little bit of leeway if you eventually decide to make a head turn that goes all the way to the full side view, which I don't do because normally it's just very unnatural. Well, there's a grid, but no grid snapping. Good. Okay, so I don't really know what this guy looks like from the side. What I do with the eyes is usually I move them over. I could move them over actually. I mean, not sure. I'm just going to try to do it with layer animation, which is actually a bad idea in most cases, but in this case it might just work. I don't know. Just try it out. Let's see what it does. Let's go all the way to the side in this case. I'm going to take the nose. Where are they? Head. There you go. Eye, eyebrow, eye, nose, and move them over. And now the front eye, to go a bit more over there. I mean, if it works without resizing layers, which I really doubt, normally you have to resize them, and then you can't do layer resizing, because as you know, when you resize a layer, whoops, just going really whack. When you resize a layer, what happens is it also will make the lines thicker, right? And that will mess up everything. So you usually do point animation. But if you can get away with just moving the layers, I guess that's fine. It can work if you do like only horizontal scaling. Might as well put the layer center at the pupil here. Go all the way here and it has to go whoops like this. No, sorry, just like this could actually work. Surprisingly, this could surprisingly work. Oh, this is weird. I just don't know what. Yeah, the other problem is I just moved the eyebrows. That was stupid. Those I have to move with the bones. Otherwise, we're getting into trouble when we try to animate them later on. Right now this is not going to work. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a mess. So let's just copy this. But this will be much easier to animate now, although it might look messier. Let's do the head turn. Where is the head turn? Okay, head turn. There we go. So. Okay, so I have brought in two audio snippets, which are from different scenes, so they don't really connect well together, just to get a bit of an idea of what we can do. First of all, just want to check the mouse movements, so window, selection. Let's first do the audio syncing set first.
Not the dropout.
Okay, not the dropout. Okay, closed. N is etc. No. T and Z are together then. Not the. Oops. Smooth, of course, and default has to be smooth again. Etc. I want to make a woo or you. Draw.
Not the dropout. Not the dropout. Not the dropout. Not the drop.
You know, stretch this a bit longer, maybe.
Not the dropout. Not the. Not the. Not the dropout. Doesn't she live in that crummy old tower?
So we go back to the animation, and there's
Not the dropout. Doesn't she live in that crummy old tower?
There's another lever I'm going to add, which is just my on-off switch for. I'll call this hand target on. Oops, off. Show label. Right now it's on. And what it does, it's just super simple. It's going to go boom, hand target on off. Somewhere here, this baby goes all the way down here. Somewhere here, the target goes off. So I can switch this on and off. None. None. Boom. So when the lever comes down here, the targeting is off. That's all it does. Doesn't have to be really linear, but just as a for good measures, make it linear. Okay, now what I can do here, this is really helpful. I want this arm to come down this way on his hip or something. But if I do it now with hand targeting on, I cannot do this. Well, say they want to go here. It just won't. I can flip it and it's super complicated and everything breaks and it's just all a big mess. You don't want to go there. So what you want to do is basically on this frame here, you just want to switch off the hand target. So you're here, next frame, boom, it's off. Okay. Of course, the downside is you have to place your bones exactly where they were before the switch. So again, this guy's got to be going on here. But actually, I think he might have moved his arm a bit outside. Move over. The wrist still needs to be there. And a bit up, right? So that's a bit of a movement like that. And this one is, you just want to have it coming down here, for example. This arm could just be normally reset, normal length. And it just seems wrong. Anyway, what hand do we give him here?
Doesn't she?
You wouldn't really want to do a body turn here. I so want to do a body turn here, but well, we don't have that yet, so it's just these 3 bones are usually set to do square. There's none. See, this is fine. And these ones, because they are have target bones, need to have 120% or so IK stretching. Let's see. Aha. Yeah, the bones again. This just, yeah, I might have to really do something about the bones here. This is a bit.
Not the. Not the.
Oh, maybe have them a bit more react here.
Not the drop out. Not the.
Bit too short.
Not the drop out. Not the drop out.
This is moving also slowly down here. This makes no sense. So one thing you could do. One thing you could do is you could just have a little switch here. Hello, not this one. Have to be part of this arm, maybe. All it does is flips the sleeve. And if this doesn't work well, there's the other consideration to just simply but it would have to be step. So we flip it somewhere here and it's step. I don't want to do any kind of animation because this is really a matter of didn't I tell you freaking step, you doodle-doo? So I'm just going to flip it over. Yeah, it's actually kind of works surprisingly well because when he does the squash and scratch, the color really emphasizes the movement.
That crummy old tower. That crummy old tower.
It's crummy old. I think the crummy should.
Crummy old
tower goes up, so this is just to do a stretch because otherwise I have this. It doesn't really work. Twice the same movement is kind of not good. Not a fan.
Crummy old tower.
100%. 100%. I'm still gonna go more than 100, of course.
Tower. Not the dropout. Doesn't she live in that crummy old tower?